So it's not a crazy statement to make that the WrestleMania Night 2 main event between Cody Rhodes and John Cena is a little bit divisive. And I've been wanting to make this video since that night, and I've had a couple of days now to sort of collect my thoughts, and a few things have happened, a few interviews have taken place, and I've sort of included all of that. I've got some notes here I want to go over, and I want to sort of break this down into 3 parts. So let's do that.
Hello.
And welcome to Ricky on Wrestling. Okay, so I want to break this down into sort of 3 parts. The first part I want to talk about is the match itself. The second part I want to talk about is Travis Scott. And the third part I want to talk about is the fallout. Now, thankfully, a few days have passed and I've had to travel back from the States back to Australia, and some stuff happened during that transit. So I can now sort of speak to that as well. So let's kick things off and let's talk about the match, the pure in-ring, bell-to-bell match between John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Now, I did mention in a previous video that I hadn't watched WrestleMania back yet because I was in America and it was only available on Peacock. I don't have Peacock. I wasn't going to buy Peacock. I didn't have a VPN, so I couldn't actually watch WrestleMania until I got back to Australia. So I watched it last night when I got home because I was jet lagged and I didn't know what time it was, and it was like in the middle of the night, and I thought I'll just chuck it on and try to fall asleep. And I ended up watching both nights of WrestleMania. So I've now seen everything back to back. So I have my experience in the stadium, and I now have the experience that everyone else got with commentary and the camera angles and everything that goes along with actually watching the broadcast on TV. And having watched it back, I feel like I need to sort of amend what I said in my review video for night 2, is that up until a certain point, this match was actually pretty good. I'm not going to go so far as to say that it was great, but the in-ring work that was happening, I thought was very serviceable. And just based on the fact that it was Cody Rhodes and John Cena, it was justifying itself in that main event spot up until, like I said, a certain point. And we'll get to that certain point a little bit later in the video. But everything that was going on, especially from a character standpoint, especially from John Cena, I thought was working. Now, the biggest thing going into this heel turn and what that's going to look like from an in-ring perspective of John Cena, I kind of speculated in my video reviewing The Chamber, was that this may be a different way we see John Cena wrestle. I think he's going to slow stuff down. I think he's going to be a lot more deliberate with what he does. And it kind of made me feel a little bit better because I just didn't know if a John Cena at this age could put on a really, really good bell-to-bell wrestling match. You know, he's getting up there in years, so I didn't know what that looked like from a face perspective. Now, when he turned heel, I was like, okay, he doesn't have to rely on all the stuff that he's done before. He can wrestle a match that is deliberate and really work properly as a heel. And in this case, it was a very 80s heel. It was big moves, like a lot of lariats, a lot of big boots, some axe handles off the second rope, just delivering damage to his opponent. And for the most part, that's all it kind of really needed to be. His character work was really, really good. The way he was playing off the crowd, the way he was playing off Cody in this new heel persona, I think, like I said, it was working really, really well. The sort of slow 5 moves of Doom spot where he'd shoulder tackle, wait a bit, another shoulder tackle, wait a bit, do that side slam, wait a bit, then load up for the 5-knuckle shuffle, I think really did paint this different picture of the character of John Cena, because you don't want him to come out there and just do the exact same stuff. So again, at this point in the match, I'm still in it. And then you have Cody on the other side of things. Now, I think Cody is where my problems kind of started with this match. It didn't feel like a Cody match. And realistically, it shouldn't have. It should have been a John Cena match. It's the showcase of him being different. We've seen Cody do his stuff over and over again. But one of the things that happened last night is at some point I did fall asleep and Netflix just kept auto-playing. And obviously the next thing right under WrestleMania 41 is WrestleMania 40. And I just happened to wake up in time for the night 2 main event of WrestleMania 40. And just the difference in the vibe and the presentation and the production of the main event of WrestleMania 40 compared to 41. It felt night and day. Now, my roommate David, who I went to WrestleMania with, I was talking to him about this morning. And he made a really, really good point, and I do want to credit him for this, is that last year, WrestleMania 40 was like the season premiere. It was the season premiere of Triple H being in complete 100% creative control of the WWE product. So I do feel like, and this is a thing in TV shows all the time, is the season premiere usually is a big deal. Like that and the finale are where the biggest stuff happens in a season of television. So by sort of treating WrestleMania 40, the Night 2 main event, or just the entire event in general, as the season premiere of this is Triple H's show now, it makes sense to sort of go all out and make it this big deal. And the production was huge and everything about it felt massive. WrestleMania 41, it really did feel like a bit of a season 2, where we're in the groove, we know what's going on, but there's not going to be as much shocking stuff happen, I guess. So it didn't really feel as big and as massive as last year. Now, the other thing, and I haven't really mentioned this anywhere, but the fact that it was an indoor stadium and the fact that there was people sitting on like the top of the stage where the pyro would usually be just meant that there was less pyro. So entrances and stuff like that kind of felt a bit diminished. Like usually Cody comes out, does the whoa, and it's a pyro city. There wasn't as much of that this year. And I feel like the gimmick of having people up on the stage to the detriment of the overall presentation and feel of the show, I don't know if it was a really good trade-off in the long run, because even sitting there on the night, I was kind of like, that's all the pyro we're getting for Cody's entrance? Like usually they go all out. Like I went to the Elimination Chamber early last year when Cody came out, and that was, again, an open air stadium, so you can kind of get away with a bit more pyro. But I remember that being massive. Like that was so much pyro. So that was another thing that just sort of didn't really feel like as big of a deal as it could have felt like. Now, obviously, that is, that's all set dressing. It's nothing to do with the match. The real action should be in the ring between these two competitors, between these two characters meeting at this point in their careers. And like I said, there were still moments that it felt really, really big. Like Cody was hitting Cody cutters and he did a big dive to the outside. Like there was stuff happening in the ring. So I've seen people say that it was a boring match and nothing happened. It was really plotting. Stuff happened. Like Cena delivered like 3 AAs. Cody got in a couple of Cody cutters, one off the top rope, hit a crossroads. Like there was stuff happening in the match. So from a purely in-ring perspective, it was very serviceable. And like I said, the character stuff really did elevate this, and just who these two characters are, who John Cena and Cody Rhodes are, did go a long way into making this feel like a WrestleMania main event right up until a certain point. Okay, let's talk about the ref bump and everything that happened after the ref bump. I am not a Travis Scott fan. I know who he is. He's a megastar. He's a huge rapper. He has billions of streams on Spotify and Apple Music and all that sort of stuff. Like, he's not someone that I shouldn't know who they are. I know who he is. Just by osmosis, living in this world that we live in, I know who Travis Scott is. Everyone in that stadium knows who Travis Scott is. But this isn't a Travis Scott concert. This is WrestleMania. And I would have been more excited, and everyone around me, I'm sure, in the same boat as me, would have been much more excited to see a wrestler come out. That would have been way more impactful. And I'm going to get into why. Celebrity cameos in wrestling are tough, especially ones that get involved in matches. Now, you can have someone like Jason Kelsey last year getting involved in a match, but that match is on the mid card. It doesn't mean anything. He comes out, he gets to be big boy in luchador mask, take it off, he's in his hometown, woohoo. That's fine. That is 100% okay. But when it comes to the main event of WrestleMania, you have to tread lightly. You have to make us care, as wrestling fans, who these people are inside the bubble, the world of professional wrestling. And I want to give you an example of someone who I think this works for probably better than anyone in the last couple of decades. Bad Bunny. I have probably listened to like 3 Bad Bunny songs in my life, and at least 1 or 2 of those were the entrance music he used at wrestling shows. Again, I know who Bad Bunny is. Just from living in this world, osmosis, I have absorbed who Bad Bunny is. Very popular in Puerto Rico, might I add. But I also know who he is in the world of professional wrestling. He is someone that has a genuine passion for the business, and he came in and he did service to the business. He put in his work. He had a couple of really, really good matches, like way better than anything anyone should have expected from the guy. But I understand who he is within the bubble of WWE. And that is because he got a chance to talk. We got to see him in a couple of matches. We see who he interacts with. We know where he sort of aligns on the heel-face spectrum. So I know who he is as the person that exists, as the recording artist, as the musician Bad Bunny, but I also know who he is within the world of pro wrestling. If he rocked up tomorrow, I can pretty much guarantee you who he's going to align with, who he's going to have beef with within the world of professional wrestling. Now, on the Netflix debut, Travis Scott came out with Jey Uso. Jey Uso at the time being one of the biggest faces in the company. Not 2 months later, he comes out with The Rock and whacks Cody in the face. All while being the backdrop of John Cena's heel turn. I don't know really where he stands as a character in the bubble of professional wrestling, in the bubble of WWE. So that to me adds to this confusion of, okay, he's come out and he's aligned with Cena. He came out with The Rock at Elimination Chamber, but he came out with Jey Uso at the Netflix premiere of Raw. He hasn't cut a promo yet, so I don't know who he is as a character. I don't know what his motivations are. I don't know why he is here. I just know that he's Travis Scott, the musician, the recording artist, and apparently the wrestling fan. But as a character, who is he? Why is he doing the things he does? I don't know. And that's not a good thing. Confusion in professional wrestling is not a good thing, because the way professional wrestling is structured is you need to know without, especially in a match, without the use of dialogue or anything, just physicality, who is a good guy, who is a bad guy. That is the simplest way that professional wrestling can be described to someone. It's a good guy and a bad guy, and if it's done well enough, you can see or tell who is who without any words being said. But on top of that, if you really want to get into the motivations of what people do, we need promos. We need to hear the words that match the actions in the ring. That is where promos are important. Travis Scott hasn't said shit, so I don't know what his motivations are. Therefore, when he comes out in the main event of WrestleMania and teams up with John Cena, I don't know why he's doing that. That's a problem. And also, one last note before I move on to the fallout of everything here. I just want to say that the fact that he came out at Elimination Chamber with The Rock, did what he did, smacked up Cody, sat there just burning sage or whatever, and then to rock up without The Rock at WrestleMania, at least from a wrestling perspective, again, I'm sure in the wider scape of the world, Travis Scott is probably a bigger star than Dwayne Johnson. It might be just, but I'm pretty sure that's where they'd fall in the hierarchy. But in the world of professional wrestling, Travis Scott rocking up without The Rock is kind of like Robin showing up to the Joker robbing a bank without Batman. And rightfully so, everyone in the bank saying, hey, Robin, where's Batman? And I know that's a bad analogy because Batman and Robin are the good guys and they're supposedly the bad guys, but I couldn't think of a better example of bad guys doing this, so that's the example you get. So here's part 3. And boy oh boy, has The Rock said a lot of things in the past couple of days. The big one for me, the sticking point that I'm probably never going to let go of, just because of what he said, and then the first thought I had after he said it, was he didn't want to take away from the match, the moment with Cody and Cena. And the first thought I had was, last year at WrestleMania 40, there were no fewer than 6 run-ins from different wrestlers. And in no way did that take away from Cody's moment at the end of the night. In fact, even more wrestlers came out and hoisted Cody up on their shoulders, and it still didn't take away from the moment. In fact, it added to the moment. So that excuse, that reason that he gave of not wanting to be the one that comes in and interferes and takes away from this big moment that Cena was supposed to have, it just doesn't work for me. Because we saw last year that you can have a clusterfuck, a spectacle of a main event with run-ins, interferences, The Undertaker, and it not detract from the final goal or the final image that they want to leave us with of Cody winning, finishing his story, all that stuff. And I just don't feel like that is a good enough excuse for The Rock to say when everything leading up to this point, every beat of this story, starting all the way back at the Raw after Mania last year, where The Rock gave Cody something and Cody took it and he put it in his pocket, and that was the last we've heard of it. Every beat of this story has involved The Rock as the final boss character. And then to say that he doesn't want to be there for the resolution of this story on the biggest show of the year, on John Cena's last WrestleMania, you can't tell me that The Rock being in the ring with Travis Scott on one side, The Rock on the other, both holding up John Cena's hands at the end of that match, would have taken anything away from that moment. It would have added to that moment. 100%. So that just doesn't sit right with me. Like, make it make sense. Make last year's clusterfuck of a million run-ins and the moment still hitting the spot, and this year with Dwayne not being there and it not working. Clearly that can't be the only thing that prevented him from being there. Now, the other point that he brought up was the fact that he didn't know Travis Scott was going to be there and had the gall to say that he would have done things differently. Buddy, just putting it out there, just saying it. You're an executive of this company. One, how did that not make it past your desk at any point in the lead up to this? And two, surely if you were there with Travis Scott, the whole thing would have made more sense. Like, you rocking up with him again, as you did at Elimination Chamber, would have made much more sense than Travis Scott rocking up alone. And it seems like other reports we've had from backstage in the company, again, I can't speak to these, but it's stuff coming out from consistent sources that I look to for my wrestling news. You seem more than happy to insert yourself in stuff all the time. And just not being on the biggest show of the year, that didn't occur to you. It didn't occur to you to sort of check and go, hey, what are you guys planning on doing with the main event? Like, I was the impetus for this whole heel turn. What are we doing there? Do I need to know? We're not doing that? Like, how did you not feel like you needed to be a part of that? And I don't want to say something stupid like it was about money. Because, hey, you already get a paycheck from this company, you're an executive, you take whatever it is, stock, shares, whatever. But just for an appearance fee, if that was the reason, and you couldn't come to an agreement, like at WrestleMania 39, where you were apparently supposed to fight Roman and you just couldn't come to a money figure, and you didn't do it. If that's the case again here, I just don't know. I don't know anymore, man. Like, it's really beginning to feel like that character of the final boss is starting to take over your psyche. Or maybe this entire time you have been the final boss and you were just playing a good guy on TV. But to finish up on the fallout before I wrap this entire video up, everyone else in wrestling media, and I'm including myself, even though I'm a teeny tiny little speck on the radar, has kind of had this similar feeling. I'm putting it into my words, other people are putting it into their words, and that's fine. And I want you to go and watch everybody. I want you to find other content creators that have a different opinion to mine. Send me that video and it might change my mind about the whole thing. But at least the people that I've seen, the people that have talked about it, the people that I listen to when it comes to this, are all kind of in the same boat. And that does count for something in the long run. Fans, like people that do this, I do this because I'm a fan of it. I don't do it just because I want to shout at the internet. I want to shout at this camera that's sitting in front of me. Like, I do this because I'm passionate about it, because I love this business. I love everything about it. But when something doesn't work, and we that choose to talk about it because we are passionate about it, all collectively kind of saying the same thing, only to be rebutted by The Rock. And I'm just pointing him out because he did that Pat McAfee interview. I'm sure that in the coming weeks and months, we're going to hear what Triple H has got to say and what John Cena's got to say and what Cody Rhodes has got to say. But if everyone's on the same boat, pretty much, like if we're all saying the same thing, maybe, just maybe, take the time to listen to what we're saying, at least absorb it, take it in, And then the next time you go to make a decision like this, to show up or to not show up or to insert yourself or to write something or to change something, just think about us, I guess. And we are a conduit for the fan base as a whole. Think about the fan base as a whole and how they're going to react to it. Now, I know that this is an ongoing story and things are going to change and things are going to happen. And I'm sure you're going to show up, Dwayne. I'm speaking to you right now. Before the end of the year, before Cena's run is done, and this all may make sense in the long run, and I'm going to look like a fucking idiot, and every other wrestling YouTuber that's talked about this is going to look like a fucking idiot. And that's fine. I would love to be proven to be a fucking idiot. But right now, almost a week removed from WrestleMania, I still feel like to end 2 nights of WrestleMania on a note that left most people doing this face isn't the best way to end your biggest show of the year. And everything else in the show was great. Don't get me wrong. I had a great time. It was awesome. But to end the show like that, to have everyone leaving the arena just kind of going, huh? I don't know if that's how I would have done it. I lied. There's 4 bits. This is the conclusion. This is me wrapping everything up. This is wrapping up everything that I've just said. I like this match. However, the ending doesn't make sense. And that is the TLDR of everything I just said. I like the match. The ending made no sense. There is stuff to be taken away from this match that I really, really liked. But the way storytelling works and the way wrestling works is the last thing that we get, the last thing that we're shown, is going to always be our impression of the entire thing. Like, us walking away, being kind of confused about the ending to that match, is the vibe we're going to have about the entire match, if not the entire weekend of WrestleMania, because it is the final feeling that we have as we remove ourselves from the WrestleMania bubble. I know I've said bubble a lot in this video, but it's a fun word to say. Bubble. So that whole thing is just confusing to me. Maybe that's a good way to wrap this video up, is just the WrestleMania main event between Cody Rhodes and John Cena was confusing. I was confused. Most of the people out there that I've talked to were also confused. And as I said, I think in this video or a different video, I can't remember, I've done like 3 videos today. Confusion in professional wrestling is bad. Professional wrestling is supposed to be pretty black and white. We're supposed to know who to cheer for and who to boo. We're supposed to be able to follow a story logically from its beginning to its conclusion. And confusion just kind of messes with that and leaves your audience just kind of going, huh? Anyway, I have no idea if this video made sense. If you took something out of it, that's great. Put it down in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up. Like the video. Subscribe. Hit the bell. I don't do this often enough. I'm going to start doing it from now on. But I appreciate you watching the video. If you have any thoughts about this, leave them in the comments down below. I really want to know what people thought about this match, especially a week removed from it. Like, I didn't bring this up in the video proper, but the 2 promos that Cena cut on Raw and SmackDown kind of made me feel a little bit better about what happened, but like, it's still not enough for me to go, nah, I like the match more than I did a couple of days ago. I still have the same feelings about it. It's just, I have a better feeling about what's going to happen next, but I still just feel a bit odd about the main event. And that's what this whole video, I guess, was about. So I hope this made sense. I have no idea. I'm sure I'm going to find out in the edit if it made sense or not. And this video might never see the light of day. Who knows? But anyway, I appreciate you for watching. And as always, bye.